What's happening, everybody? I'm Zed, and you're watching Subnautica. Now, the reason we're doing Subnautica today is because Subnautica Below Zero is in production now, and I think it'd be cool if we simultaneously release Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero videos. Now, obviously, I have actually completed Subnautica on survival mode. And I tried recording this video once before, but I had some severe technical difficulties with the audio on that. So what we're going to do is delete that world. We're going to start a new one. We're going to do it on hardcore mode. That way I feel like there's a little risk for me. I did play through survival mode already, and I did the whole thing without dying. I don't know what dying looks like on this game, but here's hoping I could pull that same trick twice. Now, the first time I played through it, I actually missed a couple of achievements. So we're gonna try and swing around and grab all the different achievements that are in the game. I'm gonna show you how to do that. And I do know where most of the different blueprint fragments are located. Not all, but again, given that I've already beaten it once, it shouldn't take me long to find them all, so you guys will be able to see how to get everything in the game, how to do everything in the game, and eventually you'll be able to see the whole storyline. So for those of you that can't afford it or don't want to spend the money on a game that's this old when the new one's coming out, at least you'll have a good understanding of what it's all about, what the storyline was leading into the next game, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's create this hardcore world, and I'll get back to you when it starts.
Attention. Failure imminent. All personnel abandon ship. Launch in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, and we're into it.
You have suffered minor head trauma. This is considered an optimal outcome. This PDA has now rebooted in emergency mode with one directive: to keep you alive on an alien world. Please refer to the databank for detailed survival advice. Good luck.
Okay, so let's see what we got here. Flares I've never used. Supposedly they're good for warding off small predators, but I've just never had need. I've always just used the knife that we will acquire sooner than later in this game. Okay, everything here is damaged. We're gonna address that right away. But first things first, let's get through the intro.
Suffered orbital hull failure. Cause unknown. 0 human life signs detected.
So I believe this game does actually change up the terrain a little bit. Like there's slight variations in how everything's laid out here, because this is actually set up a little different from the last time I loaded it on my failed video, which is nice actually. That means I'm not going to find everything the exact same way I found it in my last playthrough, so that's happy news. Now, first things first, I guess we'll start by gathering up some salvage metal here. Use salvage metal to get everything to get titanium, which is used in the vast majority of the game's crafting. So we'll start with that. See what we can build up for tools here.
Oxygen.
Oh, gonna die right off the bat. Perfect. Whew, that was close. That would have been the world's shortest playthrough. 10 seconds in, and we're dead.
Oxygen.
So it's a little wonky getting back used to it here. When you first start off, you don't have any kind of air tank or any air supply, so I tend to forget that I've only got 45 seconds of oxygen, which is probably going to get me into some trouble here in the beginning. I don't know why it's showing me the mouse key bindings like I'm using a controller, but it's alright, I can work with it. Okay, now that we've got our titanium, you can turn it into ingots, but there's no need at this point. I'm going to start by making an O2 tank, because like I just said, they're having such a small capacity for air is going to get me in trouble right off the bat.
Blueprint acquired.
You can make pipes, and they'll actually provide air supply down to wherever you lead the pipes to. I've never used them. I could see the use for them. I didn't even realize they were in the game until it was a non-issue for me. Deployables, waterproof lockers. I'll end up needing, but I'm not at that point yet. What I need to look into is tools here. We're gonna need a scanner, is perhaps one of the most important tools in the game, and a repair tool, as well as obviously a knife. So, first things first, we'll work on the knife. The other two are easier to get afterwards. So I'm gonna dive out there. You'll see me cut away a lot here and just lead into the interesting bits, because I don't see much merit in you guys watching me swim around in the ocean. So I'm going to collect some creepvine seed clusters here. You use these to make lubricant and rubber. Both very useful materials, rubber more so, I find. Okay, so now that we have these seed clusters, we're going to make some rubber. Rubber is important crafting material for a lot of things. What are we thinking here? Not batteries, but power cells, which are used to power the bigger vehicles. Fins, which is kind of a one-time thing, but a lot of your tools.
Available data to provide environment-appropriate equipment using locally available materials. For your safety, this setting cannot be overridden.
So we've got our knife.
Weapons were removed from standard survival blueprints following the massacre on Abraxas Prime. The knife remains the only exception.
I apologize, it seems like I'm rushing through this intro bit a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure that I have everything I need to survive once my pre-supplied water and food runs out. So, one of the first things you want to do in Subnautica is rack up a good collection of these coral tubes. The reason for that is because they're a main crafting ingredient in purified water, which is by far the best source of water in this game. In my opinion. I never did use, later on you can get a water purifier machine, I never did use it. We are going to explore that and see if maybe that's a viable option. Oh, my FPS is taking a dive here. And we're back, so hopefully that has resolved my issues there. Okay, so our next course of action, we have our knife, we've got rubber, we've got coral tubes. We're going to transfer some of this excess material into storage. So there's no sense to carrying it all. And we're going to go hunt down some salt. I'm going to show you the best way I find to make water. Hey guys, so what I've done here is I've swum out and I've collected some salt. You can see the salt deposits there. And just for demonstration purposes, I collected a bladderfish as well. Now these are the two ways you can manufacture water. First, you can take your salt and your coral tube sample, that's why we collected all those at the beginning. Use them to make bleach.
Bleach is an essential chemical used for cleaning wounds and purifying water.
That being said, with bleach, you can now make this disinfected water here. You get 2 bottles for every 1 bottle of bleach. And I'm going to show you the H2F or H2O difference between disinfected water and filtered
dehydration and eventual death.
So with filtered water, you grab one of these bladderfish. They're actually fairly common fish in the starting area here. And then you can see the H2O difference. So with filtered water, you've got H2O plus 20. With this disinfected water, you've got H2O plus 30, and you get 2 of them for every bottle of bleach. So to me, I just find that, like, as far as trade-offs go, disinfectant is definitely the way to go. You could definitely go with filtered water. I just find it to be kind of a pain to swim around trying to catch all the bladderfish for it. So I'm going to go ahead and drink these first. Now that we've got that situation sorted out, we have our knife and we've got enough water to last us a tiny bit. Let's go sort out the food problem. Now when it comes to food in the early parts of the game, I find that the best source are these peepers. They're the fish with the great big yellow eyes on the side of their head. These guys here, they're a little tricky to catch, but they have the best calorie output on them. Of the earlier fish, anyways. You do run into some later on that are a better food source and easier to catch. We'll get to those in a later episode for sure. So we're back with our fish here, and I'm going to show you what our options are. You can eat the fish raw if you're desperate. What it'll do, it'll dehydrate you, but it'll give you a little bit of food points or a little bit of calories. If you're anywhere close to a fabricator, and I would say usually you are, a better bet would be to cook the peep.
The fabricator cooks small organisms while disposing of the skeletal structure, bodily fluids, and internal organs, thus rendering them safe for human consumption.
So, you've cooked it. Your food points go from plus 12 to plus 32, and it no longer dehydrates you, it actually gives you 5 H2O points. So cooking it is always your best bet if it's available. If it's not, if you know you're going to be away from a fabricator for a long time, you have the option to cure your food. You add a little bit of salt, it'll dehydrate you, but it'll give you the same calorie value. Like I said, you only want to use this if you're going to be away from a fabricator for a long time. These fish won't actually go bad in your inventory, so you can just store them indefinitely like this until you're ready to eat. I usually cook up 1 or 2 depending on what my hunger's at, and then if I plan to go on a voyage, I'll bring about 3 cured ones with me. Okay, now that we've got those sorted out, it's time to start tooling up here. We're going to get some of the essential tools that we'll need right off the bat here, and then the rest of these we'll kind of make as that are needed. Like the habitat builder, we're a ways away from needing that yet. But we do need the repair tool and the scanner. So I'm going to show you where you get cave sulfur from, and I'm going to show you how to make a battery. Let's start with cave sulfur, since there seems to be an abundance of caves around us here. You'll notice this fish that just sprouted out of that plant-looking thing. He'll swim at you and explode. You want to avoid that. Once he's gone, though, what you can do is swim up to the plant that he came out of, and voila, cave sulfur. Next thing we're going to need... Oh, we might as well grab more than one while we're here. Alright, we got 2 of these guys. Oh, missed it. Okay, now...
Caution. Continued degradation of the Aurora's drive core may result in a quantum detonation. Continuing to monitor.
You may have saw back there was a creature egg on the ground. Creature eggs, you can actually place them inside an aquarium and hatch them. They turn into various different fish. I do believe that every fish you find out here, you can find a corresponding creature egg. I never did try and hatch them myself on my first playthrough. We are going to try and do that just to kind of see how that whole process works, but I'm as new to it as you are. Next thing we need to do, we have our cave sulfur, we need batteries. So batteries, we collect a couple of these acid mushrooms, which are quite abundant. There's never a shortage of those. Almost every biome you go to has acid mushrooms somewhere. But we're going to need one more ingredient. We're going to need copper. Now copper can be tricky to find sometimes, but what we're looking for is a limestone outcrop. I'll fast forward to when I find one here. Okay guys, I've arrived at my limestone outcrop here. Sometimes they contain titanium. This is one of those times. A lot of times that'll be the case. But that is generally the only way you're going to find copper at this point in the game. So I'm going to shop around, because usually there's more than one of those kicking around. And I suppose while we're down here, we'll grab all this quartz too. Quartz is useful for making glass, which is a wildly useful material in this game. We're going to grab up all the quartz while we're down
30
here.
seconds.
I got to get out of here before I drown. But I spotted more outcrops in there, so hopefully we've got 1 or 2 pieces of copper anyways. Never have too many.
Copper
we
is an
got one.
essential component of all powered equipment. Your probability of survival has just increased to unlikely, but plausible, detecting sulfur deposits in the local cave systems. Sulfur is an essential component of the repair tool.
Okay, so now we have all the ingredients we need to make both the scanner and the repair tool. We're gonna go get those, and then the game is officially underway. Okay, and we're back. So, acid mushrooms, copper. You make yourself a battery. Now, this isn't the only use for copper. Copper is actually used for copper wire. It goes into a couple of different components that you're going to run into. You'll need it for quite a lot. You can never have too much copper, so I recommend always breaking those limestone outcrops when you find them, even if they sometimes only contain titanium, which is usually a bummer, but more often than not the case. So, we're going to work on the scanner tool.
The scanner can be used to synthesize blueprints from salvage technology and to record alien biological data.
Cover. Continue. Get a repair tool, and then we're set. That'll be everything we need right off the bat. So with the repair tool, we're going to repair our life pod here.
Life pod secondary systems online, running full environment diagnostic and outputting results to databank.
We're going to repair the radio. Now the radio is more or less the driving force behind the storyline in this game. It'll send you various transmissions that kind of progress things.
Radio online.
This is Aurora. Distress signal received. Rescue operation will be dispatched to your location in 9 hours. Continue to monitor for emergency transmissions from other life pods.
So, the takeaway from that is help is a long ways away. But that's okay, because I'm going to show you exactly how to survive without it. I'm going to give you a quick demo of what the scanner tool does, and then we're going to call it an episode from there. But I did notice when I first dove into the water here, I found a sea glide fragment in a crate right close by. So I'm going to see if I can find that again, give that a quick scan. The sooner you get the sea glide, the faster the gameplay tends to progress. It's kind of a nightmare to travel around without it. Okay, we're back to that sea glide fragment. Now, typically you don't find these this close to the life pod. I don't know if it's close to the life pod or if the life pod's what moves in the beginning. I don't know enough about it, to be honest. But now that we have that, we found another fragment right here. That's wild. In my last attempted playthrough here, it took me forever to find this. So we've got our sea glide fragments. I'm going to go ahead and actually craft this right now just to show you what this thing does. But basically, because I got distracted there, what your scanner does is it'll analyze all the data on anything here. So if I were to scan mushrooms, it'll tell me that mushrooms are... I'll show you exactly what it tells me. So it'll give me this data bank entry. Now I can actually open up my data bank, head over to that entry, geological, indigenous slice components, exploitable, acid mushroom. It'll tell you all this information here, and at the bottom it'll give you an assessment there. Inedible, acid has applications in battery fabrication, which we already know, but yeah, if you're ever wondering, if you ever come across something and you're like, oh, I'm not sure what that does, scanning it can be a great way to find out for sure. Now, let's find out what we need to make our sea glide. There it is. We need one battery, one lubricant, one copper wire, and some titanium. I believe we have everything we need to make that. So, let's see. Lubricant, I have titanium. I think we're in business. Oh no, I'm going to be short one copper. Oh, I'm short 2 copper. Okay. I'm gonna go track down a bit more copper because I do want to show you guys what the sea glide is when it buds. Huh. Okay. Well, that was unexpected. Guess we'll try again in the next video. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you found that somewhat informative. You now know how to die. On the next playthrough there, I'm going to go ahead and just skip all that stuff I just did so you don't have to rewatch that again. But I will be back. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything I could improve on. Alright, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.